Welcome back to the Chambers Radio Hour. This is Ed Dwyer of Dwyer Advisory, and we're really excited to have a good friend. Everybody knows Bob Porter. If you've been involved with the St. Johns County Chamber, you know Bob. And Bob spent a number of years with the Chamber, and he's gone off and started his own business, Anastasia Island Group, but it is still very much doing the same thing. He's involved in all things going on in the legislative front in Tallahassee for the state of Florida, with the commissioners here in St. Johns County, what's going on with the city and the city beach. And so a lot is going on right now. We have the Public Policy Committee at the Chamber, which I sit on with Bob and Scott and Isabella and others. And pretty exciting times going on in Tallahassee. Maybe exciting might not be the right word. But with that, let me turn things over to Scott to kind of tee things up, and we have a good conversation with Bob.
Absolutely. And Ed, I don't know anybody that is more connected than Bob is with the legislature. And you're exactly right. There is so much going on right now. Bob, I'm going to tee it off to you to talk a little bit about what's going on, knowing that things are changing literally by the hour. But some of the items that I know the Chamber has been behind and the Public Policy Committee has really supported are still active and still moving forward. And one of those is commercial rents and eliminating the sales tax on those. You want to talk about that one a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's if you own a business in St. Johns County, and whether you own it or you lease the space or you own the building, you will see something every month on your rental form, and it's a line for a tax, and it's called the sales tax on the amount of rent that you pay for your business. Why is it there? Well, there's nobody alive who remembers why the Florida legislature put that into law. We're the only state in the country that still has it. I think New York City, we share the award for having the least progressive tax system when it comes to charging taxes on your value of your commercial rent. So that's money that businesses could use to expand their stock, to hire more people, to renovate their business, to expand their business. And we have been working with the Florida Chamber and other big statewide organizations to get that eventually eliminated. We started that effort almost 10 years ago when the sales tax was 6%. It's now down to 2%. The problem is every 0.5% cut ends up costing about $40 million that the legislature doesn't want to give up on. So it becomes a dollars and cents issue. There is a proposal right now to cut that rate from 2% to 1.25%, and it is in both the House and the Senate tax bills, and that's good news for us. We have been beating that drum for many, many years, and it literally is just because it costs a lot of money to get rid of certain taxes that it hasn't been eliminated. But that's been a top priority issue for us for many years, and will continue until we can actually claim that that is dead and buried.
And that is, one of the items when you think about that tax is that is literal money right back into the business owner's pocket that, as you said, they can reinvest. And with the economy the way it is right now, margins are slim. So every 1% or 2% makes a huge difference. Another item I know that is a hot topic with the legislature and one that's near and dear to a lot of people's heart is also property insurance. And the items that are rolling through there, I'm not sure there's a magic potion to solve that problem, but where are you seeing legislative agendas on that?
Honestly, we were a little hopeful at the beginning of the year that it would be addressed. I participate in a weekly conference call with 60 some odd Florida chambers around the state, and they always poll us before this meeting every week when the legislature's in session. And the number one issue that comes up time and time again is property insurance and property taxes. They're too high. Property insurance is the focal point has been on really homeowners insurance, but people forget businesses pay that too. And we've got a couple of real insurance experts, longtime insurance experts here in St. Johns County who I rely upon to understand this Byzantine process. And they've basically told me that the rates for business insurance have gone up faster than the rates for homeowners insurance. And again, that's money directly out of your pocket. We're very lucky in St. Augustine and St. Johns County. We haven't had a direct hit by a hurricane since 1964. I mean, we may think that we've been hit by a hurricane, but we haven't really been hit by a hurricane yet. Our insurance rates are going up to pay for all of the hurricanes that are hitting around the state with more frequency and more severity. There isn't a lot of stomach right now within the legislature to deal with property insurance reform. The legislature tackled it last year, made a number of changes to people's ability to sue insurance companies and to, if you've ever driven down the road and you get a crack in your windshield, you can literally go into any auto glass place and they will offer to replace it for free. It does. All you have to do is sign a piece of paper, and they'll replace it for free. And what you've done is that you have assigned your right to claim to this auto repair shop, and they end up billing the insurance company for it. And it became a tremendous scam. So, things like that, especially with the hurricanes we've had the last couple of years in the western part of the state primarily, along the Gulf, you have people who are getting 20-30% of what their claims were, which isn't enough to make you whole. So that's, I think that issue will probably be left for another year. On property taxes, that's become the new hot button issue in Tallahassee. I mean, the governor wants to get rid of property taxes. The Senate leadership wants to cut property taxes a little bit. The House leadership wants to permanently cut sales taxes. But again, it's all a numbers game. We're moving into potentially, I will say, economic uncertainty right now, and that has got a lot of people's attention, even in the legislature, that we're not going to get the money from the federal government. The state of Florida won't get the money that they had been receiving since COVID for all kinds of things that they use to pad their budget or to backfill their budget. And the thought of eliminating property taxes in Florida, it sounds so great on paper until you realize that Florida, most states have a three-legged stool when it comes to income: property taxes, sales taxes, and
income
tax, which we don't have.
Which we don't have. So we start off with two legs of a three-legged stool. And if you're going to get rid of property taxes as well, which fund the majority of the spending by our school districts, our county governments, our municipal governments, how are they going to backfill? You literally do not want to get to the situation where you dial 911 and you get a phone tree. If your house is on fire, push 1. If you're being held up, push 2. If you're in a car accident, push 3. Please hold. And that's the kind of potential catastrophic effect you could have if you got rid of property taxes, because municipal governments and county governments depend upon that revenue to provide the services that we get.
And I know our last guest from Bozard Ford was in talking about their workforce program, and there was a bill that was pushed forth through the legislature to cut CAPE funding for career and technical education programs across the state. And we know in St. Johns County particularly that we rely heavily on our career and technical education programs and our career academies. We have over 29 career pathways in St. Johns County, and over 18,000 students participate in those programs. There's over 40 career pathway programs in the county. And that funding provides a lot of opportunities for students. So the Chamber came out with a letter strongly opposing those cuts, and again, just making sure that the money that's invested in our workforce stays here and is not lost. Have you heard any additional updates on that funding?
The state legislators have heard from all 67 counties that was, I think the technical term was, a pretty boneheaded idea to cut the additional training that most counties are using to send kids to schools, to send kids to learn trades, to send kids and better prepare them for colleges. There's a lot of pushback, obviously, from the constituency, and that's something that is a perfect example of why grassroots involvement is so important in changing politicians' minds, because if they hear it from enough people whose opinion they respect, they're going to rethink their idea of, gee, we could save X amount of money, but in the long run, it's going to cost us a whole generation of educated kids.
Yes, and that funding, was paying not only for those programs, but also for certifications for students, for advanced placement classes, all the things that we as parents spend all of our time pushing our kids to gain more education and more knowledge and more certifications. So we definitely want to continue to watch that closely.
Well, that's right. We're going to take a short break here, listen to a few songs. We'll come back with Bob Porter because there's still a few items that are really top of our agenda around affordable housing. Attainable housing is a big topic, not just here in St. Johns County, around the state of Florida. Also on tourism, some other things. We'll be right back.